Restorative yoga is a particular style of practice. It includes lots of props, lots of long held poses, and a really important aspect of restorative yoga is that we're not trying to make any kind of stretch. We're not building strength. We're not increasing flexibility in restorative poses. But what I wanted to start with is something a little bit more active than would be considered strictly restorative. The idea here is that we can bring some space, some stretch, some opening, maybe some release to some of the tighter areas of our legs and be able to receive the restful restorative poses a little better. Take a good seat, everybody. Cross-legged looks good, or legs out straight, or kneeling can work. Find a little more height to your spine and close your eyes. Bring your attention in particular to the feeling of your legs and your feet. The real focus of our work this evening is hips, quadriceps, that's front of thighs, hamstrings, that's back of thighs, and calves, the back of our lower legs. Connect with the feeling of your legs and your seat against the floor. Not only will this work we're doing tonight help us stretch out some of these tight places in our legs, but in the end, what I think you'll find is that you feel more settled, more connected to the ground. That kind of cultivation of downward movement is really what restorative yoga specializes in, helping us to feel more connected to the earth. Please join your palms and lift them up in front of your heart. When we sing together the sound of Om, we take the energy behind our individual intentions and put that energy into a sound that's expansive and comprehensive. The sound of Om is said to contain all of the vibrations of everything in the universe. We sing not just to connect our energy to our intentions and to something bigger, but as a way of honoring the ritual and the tradition and the wisdom of yoga. Please add your voice to mine if you'd like, or just listen with your whole attention. Exhale your breath. Inhale deeply. Release your hands into your lap. Keep your gaze soft as you blink open your eyes. Uncross your legs and set your feet out so that your feet are a little bit wider than hips distance. And then just lean back and take some weight into your hands. Start to swing your legs from side to side. Kind of like you're doing this little windshield wiper thing with your legs. A couple reasons for starting off with this. It's dynamic, which feels kind of nice for our body. There's a sort of neutralizing thing that happens for low back. And as you rock your legs from side to side, you just might find a little tug of stretch across the front of your quadricep, across your hip flexor. Just see how that's feeling for your body. Next time you have your legs over to the right side, keep your legs over to the right, bring your left arm around and turn yourself into a twist. Then untwist yourself back around to the center. Just be super sweet. Swing your legs to the left, bring your back arm around and turn. Come back around to the center. You get the idea, right? Swing legs and then torso. Swing legs to the other side and then torso swing around. One more like that to each side. Then the next time you come back around to the middle, stretch both legs out along the floor in front of you for a second. I want you to set up one of your blankets for what comes next. So take your blanket, or if you're using a towel, that works too, and open it up into this kind of long shape, and then roll that blanket up on the long side. So you're going to make this kind of long and skinny roll. Make it dense around the middle. That's sort of the most important place. And then once you have that ready, come around onto all fours into a table pose. Also a good place for you to have some blocks nearby because you might want to use those for what comes next too. Then just lean yourself forward so that you can open up the back of your knees, and that's where you're going to put the blanket. Sort of nestle the blanket into that space right behind the back of your knees, and if your yoga pants are slippery, you might have to hold on to it. Sit back onto the blanket. Then there's a couple ways you can accommodate your body in this if it's feeling pretty fierce on your calves or on your hamstrings. The first way is to just put your hands onto your blocks. So you can kind of take a little bit of the weight under your hands. The more upright you bring your body, the more intense this sensation will feel. One option is to put your hands on your thighs. You could slide your hands up to your hips. If you're feeling really extra jazzy about arms overhead, that could work too. See if you can find the just right amount of effort and pressure here. You know, we sometimes joke it's called the calf masher, but there's some hamstring stuff happening here as well. Could you find a place where you can notice the sensation, but where you're still able to breathe? Part of our work tonight is reminding ourselves of how we can feel more settled and more grounded. Where are all the places that your body's in contact with the floor? What also helps us to cultivate this more grounded quality is long exhalations. Just put a little more breath into your exhale. If you find that you're leaning forward a little bit and your body seems to have accommodated this place of the blanket, maybe it's time to lift up a little taller, perhaps hands to thighs. Or it might just work to bring your blocks on a high side so you have a little less weight on your hands. You just play around and decide, like, what's it feeling right for you, your calves and your hamstrings today? As long as your knees are feeling all right, shift a little of your weight to one side. Kind of give an extra smoosh on that one calf. And then shift over to the other side. Same, be really sweet, kind of a subtle movement to one side or the other. Then come back around to the center. If you're feeling okay, you might just lift your hands off of the blocks and place them on your thighs. But if it's really too intense to maintain, keep the blocks. Everybody take a deep breath in. Exhale your breath all the way out. Okay, bring your blocks with you. Walk your blocks and your hands out towards the front of your yoga mat so that you can lift up off of your rolled up blanket. Pull the blanket out and set it off to the side. And then with your hands on your blocks, extend your right leg back behind you and just press out through your right heel. Especially reach back through the inner edge of your foot. Move your chest forward a little so you have a sense of opening across the front of your chest as well as across the back of your leg. Then from here, step your right leg forward. Of course, you can move your hands if you need to get your foot in between your blocks. Rock your hips back and straighten your front leg. I say straighten, but what I mean is straight-ish. You're welcome to move the blocks back so you don't have to strain to reach them. And flex the sole of your right foot back towards you. Then bend your right knee. Feel free to move the blocks. Drop your hips until you can feel a little stretch in the front of your back thigh. Straighten your front leg, flex your foot, move your blocks back. And then bend your knee. Drop your hips down and forward so there's stretch on the back leg. One more time like that, everybody. Walk your blocks back, straighten your front leg. This time, just pause in that kind of more upright position with your spine. In fact, prop up onto your fingertips so you can lift your chest and lift up through the crown of your head. Then slide your right hand to your right hip and press your right hip down. Lots of times that right hip wants to kind of hike up, so you just encourage your right hip to drop a little. You can keep your hand there if you need the reminder, or you can put your hand back to your block. Now, hold your leg in the straight position, work just on your ankle. press the sole of your right foot towards the floor. It goes in the direction because it might not go all the way down. And then flex your foot. Press the sole of your foot towards the floor, big toe mound towards the mat, and flex. One more time. Press the sole of your foot towards the floor, and then flex your foot back. Bend your right knee, walk your hands forward with your blocks, and then step your right leg back into your lunge shape. Set the blocks a little farther out in front of you and place your hands so they're flat on the floor. Step your right leg out to the right. So you're gonna make this kind of kickstand with your leg, just straight out from your right hip. With your next breath in, lift your chest forward. Aim your sitting bones towards the sky. So get this big, deep curve through your low back. When you exhale, drop your tailbone under, drop your chin under, and press your hips back towards your left heel, like a child's pose with a kickstand. Combine the breath and your movement. Inhale, table, and then into cow pose, collarbones forward and sitting bones high. Exhale, round your spine, push back hips towards your heel. Inhale, table to cow. Exhale, cat, back to child's pose. Come back up towards your table pose shape. Pull the right knee in, and then gather up your blocks. Put your hands under your blocks and extend your left leg back behind you. Press out through your left heel, and with your hands up on your blocks, you have the space to move your chest forward. Can you find a sense of stretch in the back of your left calf and also a movement forward through chest and maybe even a little stretch to the front of your belly? Step your left leg forward. Feel free to move your hands or adjust your block so you can get your leg through into your lunge. Straighten your leg. Flex your foot, rock over your heel. Move the blocks back as needed. Then bend your front knee back down. Drop your hips low enough that you can start to feel this little tug of stretch across the back thigh. Straighten your front leg, walk your blocks back. And then bend your knee, drop your hips low. Straighten your front leg one more time. This time keep it straight. Walk your blocks back and prop up onto your fingertips so that you're able to lift your chest and spine a little bit taller. And then take your left hand to your outer left hip and just drop your left hip down. Sometimes that hip just has this tendency to kind of hike up, so you're trying to remind your hip to stay down and back. You keep your hand there if you like, or put it back to your block. And then your leg stays, work just your foot. Press the inner edge of your foot towards the floor, like you're trying to hit the big toe mound of your foot to the mat. And flex your foot back. Reach your foot towards the floor. And then flex your foot. One more time. Reach the sole of your foot down towards the floor. And then flex your foot back. Bend your knee back down into your lunge shape. Step back to all fours into your table pose. Then sit your blocks out of the way and plant your hands on the floor. Step your left leg out to the left, straight out from your hip like you're doing a kickstand. On the inhale, press your chest forward and your sitting bones high. Make a big deep curve to your low back. Exhale, round your spine, push back hips towards your right heel. Inhale, table into cow pose. Exhale, cat pose all the way back into a child's pose. Inhale, table to cow. Exhale, cat to child. Come back up towards your table pose. Set your left knee back into table. And then bend your elbows and lower your body all the way front to the floor. Put your arms in a comfortable place, whatever that might be for you, by your sides or make a little shelf or under your forehead. Bend your knees and swing your legs from side to side. It's a really similar movement to what we started this practice with today, but notice how it feels different now. after the work that you did stretching your legs and working your hips. And it's just different because you're rolling the front of your thighs against the mat. Sometimes it even feels like you're getting a little thigh massage here. Then release your feet down to the floor. Close your eyes for just a moment. Not only does it make us feel more grounded to stretch out the tight places in our legs, but it can make us feel grounded to put lots of parts of our body in contact with the ground. We're just going to pause here for a couple of extra breaths. There's nothing to do. Just breathe and notice whatever you're noticing. Just do one more breath here. Then locate your strap. And once you have that in easy reach, roll over onto your back. If you don't have a strap, don't worry. I'm going to give you something that you can do without the strap. As you come onto your back, bend your knees so your feet are flat on the floor. And then just decide whether or not you want something under your head. There's a couple ways you can tell if having something under your head would be a good idea. The first one's really easy. Does the floor feel hard under your head? And if it does, put one of your folded blankets or a small pillow under your head. The other thing I want you to pay attention to is what's happening at your neck. So if you find that your throat feels really way open here, sometimes if your shoulders or your rib cage are quite broad, it'll be difficult for you to get your head in line with your spine, right? So if that's happening for you and your head is kind of tipped back, the front of your throat can feel really open and it might cause you some distress at the back of your neck. In that case, you can add a blanket for under your head. So watch for those two things, just hard floor under your head and a feeling of strain or excessive openness in the front of your throat. Then from here, bring your right knee in towards your chest and hold onto your knee with your hands. So here's the first place where a strap could be useful. If you're holding onto your knee with your hands and you find that you're really straining to reach your leg, use a strap to extend your arms. Then the next thing to play around with is reaching behind the back of your thigh. Just reach around and hold the back of your thigh and see how that feels. And maybe you'll know right away which is more sustainable, holding onto the back of your thigh or holding onto the front of your shin. Keep your right leg in close towards your body and lengthen your left leg out along the floor in front of you. There's this interesting kind of dance that happens here. As you pull in really tight on the right leg, keep the left leg long along the floor. I'm just going to stay here for a couple of breaths. Nothing you have to do. Just notice what's happening. Okay, take your time. The leg that you have out straight on the floor, bend your knee and place your left foot flat onto the mat again. Then find your strap if you weren't already using it and loop the strap around your foot. Straighten your right leg into the air. So now, if you don't have a strap or you just don't want to use one for whatever reason, you don't need to use the strap here. You can hold on to the back of your leg with your hands, and that will work just as well. In fact, even if you have a strap, you could try it out and see if you prefer holding onto the back of your thigh, which is totally fine. If you are using the strap, pull down onto the strap across the sole of your foot, and at the same time, press up into the strap with your leg. Straighten your left leg out along the floor in front of you. There's this interesting dynamic in this position. There's this feeling of stretching out through soles of feet, a kind of lengthening of the legs away from the torso or away from the main part of the body. But don't let yourself get carried away in the strong effort of this pose. I definitely think you could feel sensation of stretch and opening, but if you catch yourself working so hard that your knuckles turn white or you stop breathing deeply, it might be just a little too much effort. Just as we've been doing for the past few poses, we're going to hold this one for a couple of breaths. Continue to monitor the sensations and the intensity of this posture. Okay, take your time, bend your left knee and bring your left foot flat to the floor. Release the strap from the sole of your foot, bend your left knee, or right knee to the mat. Stretch both legs out along the floor in front of you. And just have a moment to feel what you feel. And you notice a difference in the two sides of your body? Okay, we're going to do that whole series of poses on the other side. Start with your feet flat, knees bent. Bring your left knee into your chest. Hold on around the front of your left knee and just feel how that feels. Another option is to slide your hands around the back of your thigh and support your leg that way. You could test that out and see if you like it better. You don't really have to analyze it, just which feels more comfortable and easier to sustain. If it's hard to reach your leg, add the strap. Just use it to extend the length of your arms. Once you found the just right position, just the just right way to hold on to your left leg, straighten your right leg out along the floor in front of you. Nothing super active to do. We're just going to be in the pose for a couple of breaths, noticing whatever there is to notice. And it's all fine and interesting. Okay, no rush here. Bend your right knee and bring your right foot back to flat. Then locate your strap and loop the strap around your left foot. Straighten your left leg into the air. Just like on the first side, you don't need to use the strap if you don't want to or if you don't have it. You could also just hold on to the back of your thigh and work your leg towards straight without the strap. If you are using the strap, pull down against your foot at the same rate that you extend your foot up into the strap. Then extend your right leg out along the floor in front of you. Can you feel this sense of stretching outward from your hips into your feet? Just monitor the amount of intensity that this is offering you. If you find yourself gripping the strap till your knuckles are white, or if your breath starts to get cut off from the effort of holding your legs here, play around and back off a little till you can find a place that's more sustainable. And we'll hold this for a couple of breaths. Okay, moving slowly, bend your right knee, put your right foot flat onto the floor. Take the strap away if you were using it, and lower your left leg. Extend both legs out onto the mat in front of you. Just let your arms rest by your sides. Close your eyes and feel the impact of the poses you've just practiced. Moving slowly, bend both knees. Roll over onto your side, tuck your chin in and pull your knees in, kind of like you're curled in around your heart. And then use the support of your hands and your arms, push your body up into a seated position. As you get back to your seat, close your eyes for just a moment. Do you notice that the floor under you feels different than when you first sat down? Keep your gaze soft as you blink open your eyes. Okay, the next portion of class is less active sensation, more resting. You need to set up a few things for this to happen. You can take one blanket, perhaps you still have that rolled up blanket available. And then you need a second blanket that's rolled up in that same way. So to make this roll, open your second blanket, roll it up down the long edge, and then you can just place that on the other side. So when you're facing the short end of your yoga mat here, you'll end up with one blanket on either side of your body. I think you might find that having a blanket for under your head feels really nice for this next bit. You could do it without the blanket, but we're going to be here for a couple of extra minutes lying on our back, and so having a soft layer between your head and the floor could be really nice. A small pillow could work here as well if you want to have an extra cushion. So if you want to fold up your head your head blanket in this particular way, fold it over so that you're folding it over kind of short end to short end, and then you have this little layer of blanket here that will make a nice little on-ramp for your head. Small flat couch cushions are perfect for this, or any kind of small throw pillow would work just great. So you can put that just behind you where your head will be, and then come to lie down on your back again with your feet flat on the floor. Just take an extra second to get your head well organized on whatever kind of soft cushiony thing that you've collected. Then from this position, pull your blankets into your sides so that the blankets are touching from your ankles to your outer hips. It should kind of feel like the blankets are making this sort of boundary for your legs. Join the soles of your feet together and let your knees fall out so that the blanket is supporting your ankle to your thigh, not under your knees necessarily, in much closer to the core of your body. Now, if you're a person who finds that you want more support for under your knees, here's where you could bring those blocks, and you could add the blocks for under your knees. So you'll have both the block and the blanket. You can decide how that feels, test it out, and see if you like it. And then as you get your legs organized, you have a couple choices for your arms. You could let your arms fall out to the sides, either palms up or palms down as you choose. It could also be nice to pull your hands in to rest your hands on your belly. I'm often wearing a sweatshirt that has kind of kangaroo pockets so I can tuck my hands in. I like that feeling of being a little more contained. You could try it, maybe you like that as well. And as you're getting yourself organized into this sort of low version of Baddha Konasana, close your eyes. Drop your attention into the experience that you're having in this exact moment. This posture marks a departure from the kind of active stretching or even passive stretching postures. Keep in mind that restorative yoga isn't intending to offer us a stretch, but instead a sort of opening into which we can rest without agitation. If you find that you are experiencing stretch on your inner thighs, or there's some part of your body that feels a tug, a sensation of compression, or an expansive feeling that's beyond just feeling open, tuck your legs and your blankets in, pull your knees in a little closer. Gather up your arms instead of having them out to the sides. Set up in a way that you feel super supported. And with each exhalation, soften any holding. We're creating a receptive place. Another one of those hallmarks of restorative yoga. We use props. Receptive versus active. And we'll stay for a while without making anything happen. Some folks find that it feels really nice to let their mind float, to go wherever it wants to go. But know that you have your breath as an anchor. You can come back to the breath at any time. attention back. If your mind had wandered far off, and just notice how you feel in this pose now. Deepen your breath. Slide your hands to the outside of your thighs and use your hands to help gather up your legs. Place the soles of your feet flat onto the floor and rest your hands right at the base of your thighs, where your thighs meet your pelvis. Give yourself just a sweet little press, like you can press from the back of your thighs from the back of your hands into your thigh bones. Then release your pressing. Slide your legs out along the floor in front of you. Lift your arms along the floor up and overhead and give your body a stretch from your fingers all the way out to your toes. Bend your knees. Pull your arms in and roll over onto your side. Just shift any of your props that are in your way. Tuck your chin in and pull your knees in. Curl in around your heart. Use the support of your hands and your arms. Push your body back up into your seated position. Close your eyes as you get into your seat. Do you feel different now than when you first sat down? Keep your gaze soft as you blink open your eyes. Take the two blocks that you have and position them so they're running parallel end to end with the short end of your yoga mat. Just one block next to the other. Place your rolled up blanket on top of your blocks. Whatever you've been using for your head, folded blanket or small pillow, put that at the other end of your yoga mat. When you lie down on this setup, the rolled up blanket and the blocks should fit right under the pit of your knees. Let your heels rest on the floor and lie down onto your back with your blanket or your small pillow to support your head. You may have noticed that as you've been practicing, your body temperature has dropped, and if you're feeling a little bit chilly, it could be nice to use your third blanket to cover your body. Or maybe you don't need it for warmth, but there's something nice about that little extra weight across the front of your body, over your belly and at the top of your thighs. Let your legs fall out to the sides here. Position your hands and your arms in a comfortable place. And once again, close your eyes. Relax the weight of your body into the floor. It feels nice to let your mind be free. Let your mind float and move wherever it wants to go. But know that you have the breath. It's like a home base where your mind can come back and land whenever it needs to. attention back. Notice whatever there is to notice about the experience that you're having in this moment. Take your time. Bend one knee and place your foot on the rolled up blanket. Bend your other knee and place that foot on the rolled up blanket. Without lifting your head, use your feet to push the blocks and the rolled up blanket out of your way. Once you've shuffled those things off of your mat using your feet, stretch your legs out long, reach your arms up by your ears, and give your body this big stretch out from your fingers to your toes. Bend your knees and place your feet to the floor. Settle your low back down into the mat and draw your knees into your chest. Wrap your arms around your legs and just rock really gently from side to side. Roll all the way over to one side. Tuck your head in. Pull your knees in like you're curling in around your heart. And use the support of your hands and your arms. Push your body up into a seated position. Close your eyes as you come into your seat. Join your palms back together in front of your heart. Connect again with the reason that you came to this practice. Or perhaps connect with an intention that will carry you off your mat and into your evening. When we sing the sound of Om, we express our intention into a sound that's collective and expansive. We express our honor and gratitude for the system, for yoga's wisdom, its ritual and tradition. I'd love for you to sing an Om with me to close practice today. If you're in a place where you'd rather listen, just listen with your whole attention. Exhale your breath all the way out. Inhale deeply. With a wish that we might feel grounded and also peaceful, and that this peacefulness we find here is available to all beings everywhere. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti Om. Peace, peace, peace.